evening. Trust you're having a fantastic evening. It is the 26th of April 2025, and thank you for tuning in to KUTV Weekend Live. And Weekend Live starts right now. Thousands gather to send off the late Pope Francis as he is laid to rest at St. Mary Minor Basilica. Religious leaders from various faiths condemn cultic practices in churches following the arrest of Pastor Abel Kahindi Gandhi of New Foundation Church. Kerugoya residents urged to collect their IDs from Huduma offices with a growing backlog of uncollected documents. And in our special feature segment tonight, we highlight the environmental benefits of reusing bottle for sustainability. And remember that you can get this broadcast live on all our social media platforms. On YouTube, it's KUTV News Kenya. On X, it's KUTV_Kenya. Eugene Wafula is our sign language interpreter for tonight. My name is Ochieng, Cynthia. Welcome. Now, a historic farewell unfolded today in Vatican City as mourners from around the globe gathered to bid an emotional goodbye to Pope Francis, the first Pope from the Americas and a tireless champion of the poor and marginalized. Here is the powerful final moments of his extraordinary journey.
Masses lined up the streets of the Vatican to bid farewell to Jorge Bergoglio, who they had come to know as Pope Francis, inside a vehicle that many times had been his chariot across the globe as he waved to crowds, but today he lay in it in a final lap of goodbye. The Pope's simple wooden coffin was carried in a sunlit St. Peter's Square this morning, met by waves of applause from tens of thousands gathered to honor a pontiff who reshaped the Catholic Church.
Mia, magnifica il Signore, il mio spirito è suo. White-gloved pallbearers bore the casket inlaid with a large cross through St. Peter's Basilica as choirs sang and church bells tolled across Rome. World leaders, dignitaries, and royalty, with more than 150 nations represented, filled the square. Among them, US President Donald Trump, who had once clashed with Francis over the immigration standing, alongside presidents from Argentina, France, Germany, and Kenya. At the altar, the Pope's casket lay humbly on a carpet, a book of Gospels resting atop it. In front of the altar, 220 cardinals, 750 bishops, and over 4,000 priests, flanked by mourners stretching as far as the eye could see. Ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Pope
Pope Francis died on Monday, aged 88, after suffering a stroke, ending a 12-year reign defined by compassion, reform, and fierce advocacy for justice.
E accresca la nostra fede nella risurrezione dei morti.
In a final break with a century-old Vatican tradition, Pope Francis chose a simple zinc-lead coffin and a burial site outside the Vatican, Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major, a nod to his lifelong humility. Above his resting place, just one word is carved in stone: Franciscus, a fitting farewell for a pope who forever changed the soul of the Catholic Church that is now looking to see who will take up from him. Emmanuel Kutosi, Weekend Live.
Pope Francis, the first pontiff from the Americas, passed away on April the 21st, leaving behind a powerful legacy of inclusion, activism, and hope. He has been eulogized by many who noted him as an impeccable leader. We look back on the remarkable life of a man who reshaped Catholic Church for a new generation. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Pope Francis was the eldest of 5 children born to Italian immigrants. His father, Mario, an accountant for the railways, and his mother, Regina, a devoted homemaker. Even in his earliest days, the value of hard work, faith, and service surrounded him.
Fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua.
Before hearing his calling to the priesthood, young Jorge graduated as a chemical technician, but his heart pulled him toward a different vocation. In 1958, he entered the novitiate of the Society of Jesuits, marking the beginning of a lifelong commitment to humility, scholarship, and service. Ordained a priest in 1969, he quickly rose through the Jesuits rank, becoming Provincial of Argentina in 1973. Throughout, he remained a man of the people, riding buses and the underground, visiting the sick and spending time in Buenos Aires' poorest neighborhoods. In 1992, Pope John Paul II appointed him Auxiliary Bishop of Buenos Aires. His episcopal motto, lowly but chosen, captured his spirit. By 1998, he became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires and just 3 years later, a cardinal. In 2013, history was made. Bergoglio became the first pope from the Americas and the first non-European in over a millennium. After Pope Benedict XVI resignation, he took the name Francis after the saint who loved peace, poverty, and creation itself. As Pope, Francis opened the Church's arms wider than ever, welcoming immigrants, championing the poor, and reaching out to LGBTQ communities. He spoke boldly on climate change, social justice, and the dignity of every human being. Not without controversy, but always with compassion, Pope Francis became a symbol of hope in a divided world, a leader who chose humility over grandeur. In Latin America and across the world, he was celebrated not just as a religious leader, but as a symbol of moral courage, a Grand Chancellor of the Catholic University of Argentina, and a prolific author. He urged the Church to re-evangelize not only cities but hearts, with solidarity and humility at the center. Pope Francis remained a steady, compassionate force until the end of his life. On April the 21st, he passed away at the age of 88. As Pastor Abel Kahindi Gadi of New Foundation Church remains in police custody following his Thursday arrest for alleged cultic practices. Religious leaders from various faiths speaking after a requiem mass at St. Anthony of Padua Cathedral not only condemned his actions but calls for a thorough investigation into the matter. Controversial practices cited including forcing individuals deemed demon-possessed to climb a tree of life during exorcism and the use of living water. These acts have, however, been said to have lacked a religious basis. A Malindi court has granted police 10 more days to conclude investigations before pressing charges.
Tusikubali mmoja wetu aweze kuharibu jina letu. Ni jukumu letu kushirikiana na viongozi wa kijamii tuweze kuwaondoa na kuwarekebisha ndugu zetu ambao labda wanatumia dini kwa manufaa ya kibinafsi na sio kwa kuwajengea maadili na uhusiano mwema kati ya wananchi.
Moving on, the National Assembly Committee on Administration and National Security has pledged to allocate funds in the next budget cycle to complete the Stelde Migori County headquarters building, which has remained unoccupied for over 15 years, despite consuming over 500 million shillings taxpayer money. Speaking during tour of site on Saturday, committee chairperson Larry MP Mburu Kahangara described the abandoned 3-story building structure as wasteful and committed to fast-tracking its completion. The legislature noted that it was sad for government officials to hire offices, yet the government has used a lot of resources to set up the construction of the giant office block. Engineers from Public Works have been tasked to prepare final quotations, with estimates placing the complete cost between 300 to 400 million Kenyan shillings. And to some other story, with hundreds of uncollected identity cards piling up at national administration offices and the Huduma Center in Kerugoya, Kirinyaga County, officials are urging residents to collect their documents urgently. According to the Kerugoya Central Deputy County Commissioner Joseph Mureithi, the backlog includes both replaced IDs and newly issued Maisha cards. He emphasized that the ID application is free and encouraged those aged 18 and above to apply and collect their cards.